Have you ever felt like your life is stuck on repeat? Like no matter what you do, nothing really changes? Well, what if I told you there's a hidden power inside you that can completely transform your life? It might sound too good to be true, but stick with me. This isn't about some magic trick or secret formula. It's about something much deeper and more powerful, your own mind. Today, we're going to dive into the teachings of a man named Neville Goddard. Now, you might be thinking, who's that? Don't worry if you've never heard of him. By the end of this video, you'll understand why his ideas are so important and how they can change everything for you. Neville Goddard taught something that might seem a bit strange at first. He said that our imagination is the key to creating the life we want. Not just dreaming about it, but actually making it happen. It's like having a superpower that's been right under our noses all along. But here's the thing. If you don't understand and use this power, you might keep feeling stuck. You might keep running into the same problems, facing the same struggles, wondering why things never seem to get better. It's like being in a maze and not realizing you have the map in your pocket. On the other hand, once you get what Goddard was talking about, your whole world can change. Imagine being able to shape your life the way you want it. Imagine feeling in control, confident and excited about your future. That's what understanding and using this power can do for you. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This sounds too easy. If it were that simple, wouldn't everyone be doing it? And you're right to be skeptical. It's not always easy, and it does take practice. But the truth is, many people are using these ideas to change their lives in amazing ways. They're just not always shouting about it from the rooftops. So if you're ready to learn about this hidden power, if you're ready to take control of your life in a way you never thought possible, keep watching. We're about to unlock some incredible secrets together. Let's start by getting to know the man behind these powerful ideas. Neville Goddard wasn't some guru living on a mountaintop. He was a regular guy who discovered something extraordinary. Neville was born in 1905 in Barbados. He came to the United States as a young man to study theater. But his life took an unexpected turn when he started exploring spiritual ideas. He became fascinated with the power of the mind and how it shapes our reality. What made Neville different from many other spiritual teachers was his practical approach. He didn't just talk about lofty ideas. He showed people how to use these concepts in their everyday lives. Whether it was finding a better job, improving relationships, or achieving personal goals, Neville taught that it all starts in our minds. Neville spent decades teaching and writing about his discoveries. He gave lectures all over the United States, sharing his insights with anyone who would listen. And people did listen, because what he was saying was revolutionary. One of Neville's main ideas was that our imagination is not just for daydreaming. He taught that it's actually the creative power of the universe working through us. He believed that what we imagine and feel as real in our minds will eventually become real in our lives. This might sound a bit out there, but Neville wasn't talking about magic. He was talking about a deep understanding of how our minds work and how they connect to the world around us. He showed people that by changing their thoughts and mental images, they could change their lives. Neville's teachings weren't tied to any specific religion or belief system. He drew insights from various spiritual traditions, including the Bible, but he presented them in a way that anyone could understand and use, regardless of their background. Why are Neville's teachings still important today, decades after he first shared them? Because they speak to something we all experience, the feeling that there must be more to life, that we should be able to shape our destinies somehow. In today's world, where we're bombarded with information and often feel out of control, Neville's ideas offer a way to take back the reins of our lives. They show us that no matter what's happening around us, we always have control over our inner world. And that inner world, according to Neville, is where everything starts. Think about it. How often have you caught yourself worrying about the future, replaying past mistakes, or imagining worst-case scenarios? Neville would say that this kind of thinking is actually shaping your reality. But the good news is, if negative thoughts can shape your life, positive ones can too. This is why Neville's teachings are more relevant than ever. In a world that can often feel chaotic and unpredictable, he offers a way to find stability and direction from within. He shows us that we're not helpless victims of circumstance, but powerful creators of our own experience. Now, I know this might all sound a bit abstract. You might be wondering, how does this actually work in real life? Don't worry, we're going to break it all down and show you exactly how to apply these ideas in your daily life. By the end of this video, you'll have practical tools you can start using right away to tap into this hidden power. Now that we've met Neville Goddard, let's dive into one of his most important ideas: the power of imagination. When most people think of imagination, they think of fantasy, daydreams, or maybe children playing pretend. But Neville saw imagination as something much more powerful. According to Neville, your imagination is the key to creating your reality. He didn't mean this in some vague, metaphorical way. He meant it quite literally. Neville taught that the world we experience is a direct result of our imaginal acts. Neville believed that everything in the physical world first exists in the imagination. Think about it. Every building you see, every piece of technology you use, every book you read, all of these things existed in someone's imagination before they became real. But Neville took this idea even further. He said that this principle doesn't just apply to physical objects, but to all aspects of our lives. Our relationships, our careers, our health, our happiness, all of these, according to Neville, are shaped by what we hold in our imagination. Now, this doesn't mean that just thinking about something will make it magically appear. It's not about wishful thinking or pretending. It's about using your imagination in a focused, deliberate way to create a new reality for yourself. Here's an example of how this might work. Let's say you're unhappy in your job and want a new career. The usual approach might be to update your resume, search job listings, and start applying. And there's nothing wrong with taking those practical steps. But Neville would suggest starting with your imagination. He'd tell you to imagine yourself already in your dream job. Feel what it would be like to wake up excited to go to work. Imagine the satisfaction of doing something you love. Picture yourself succeeding in this new career. The key here is to make this imaginal scene as real and vivid as possible. Use all your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? How do you feel? The more real you can make it in your mind, the more power it has. Now, this doesn't mean you should quit your job and wait for your dream career to fall into your lap. Neville's teachings are not about ignoring reality or avoiding action. Instead, they're about aligning your inner world with the outer world you want to create. By consistently imagining yourself in your new career, you start to think and feel differently. You might notice new opportunities you wouldn't have seen before. You might feel more confident in interviews. You might be inspired to learn new skills that make you a better candidate. This is how imagination begins to shape reality. It's not about instant manifestation, but about setting in motion a series of events and changes that lead to your desired outcome. One important thing to understand is the difference between idle daydreaming and what Neville called controlled imagination. Daydreaming is passive, often random, and doesn't usually lead to real change. Controlled imagination, on the other hand, is focused, deliberate, and tied to a specific desired outcome. Neville taught that to use your imagination effectively, You need to create a clear, detailed mental image of what you want, and then enter into that image as if it were already real. This takes practice, but it's a skill anyone can develop. He also emphasized the importance of persistence. Changing long-held beliefs and creating new realities doesn't usually happen overnight. It requires consistent effort, repeatedly returning to your imaginal scene until it feels natural and real to you. But here's the exciting part. As you practice this, you might start to notice small changes in your life. Maybe you'll have a conversation that opens up new possibilities. Maybe you'll come across information that helps you move toward your goal. These small changes are signs that your imaginal acts are starting to influence your reality. Remember, Neville's teachings aren't about escaping reality or living in a fantasy world. They're about consciously directing your imagination to create positive change in your life. It's about realizing that your imagination is not just for idle fantasies, but a powerful tool for shaping your experience of the world. In the next sections, we'll explore more of Neville's teachings and how to apply them in your life. We'll look at the crucial role of feeling in this process, the concept of living from the end, and how to overcome the doubts and fears that might hold you back. But for now, I want you to start thinking about how you've been using your imagination. Have you been focusing on what you don't want, imagining worst-case scenarios? Or have you been consciously directing your imagination toward what you do want? Take a moment to consider what you truly want in your life. What would your ideal day look like? How would you feel if you had achieved your biggest goals? Start to create that scene in your mind. This is the first step in harnessing the power of your imagination to create real change in your life. Remember, according to Neville Goddard, your imagination is not just a place to escape reality, it's the very tool you can use to create a new reality. So use it wisely, use it consciously, and watch as your life begins to transform. The importance of feeling. Now that we've explored the power of imagination, let's dive into another crucial aspect of Neville Goddard's teachings, the importance of feeling. You see, Neville didn't just talk about imagining what you want. He emphasized that feeling is the secret to making your imaginal acts come true. But what does this really mean? Well, it's not enough to just picture what you want in your mind. You need to feel it as if it's already happened. This might sound a bit strange at first, but stick with me. Think about a time when you were really excited about something. Maybe it was a vacation you were looking forward to, or a big achievement you were proud of. Remember how that felt in your body. The excitement, the joy, the sense of accomplishment. That's the kind of feeling Neville was talking about. When you combine your imaginal scene with strong, positive emotions, you're sending a powerful message to your subconscious mind. You're telling it, this is real, this is happening. And your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined with feeling. Let's go back to our example of wanting a new career. It's not just about picturing yourself in your dream job, it's about feeling the satisfaction of doing work you love. It's about feeling the pride of success, the excitement of new challenges, the confidence of being good at what you do. Neville taught that these feelings are what bring your imaginal acts to life. They're like the fuel that powers your imagination to create real change in your world. But here's where many people get stuck. They try to force these feelings, or they pretend to feel something they don't really believe. That's not what this is about. The key is to relax into the feeling, to let it grow naturally as you imagine your scene. One simple exercise you can try is this. Close your eyes and imagine a scene that would happen if you already had what you want. Maybe it's someone congratulating you on your new job, or you're sitting in your new office. Now, instead of trying to force a feeling, just ask yourself, how would I feel if this were real? Then, let that feeling grow naturally. Remember, this isn't about pretending or fooling yourself. It's about tapping into the very real feelings of joy, satisfaction, and fulfillment that are already within you. You're just directing those feelings towards your desired outcome. As you practice this, you might find that it becomes easier and more natural. You might even start to notice that you feel different in your day-to-day life, more confident, more optimistic, more open to opportunities. This is a sign that your inner world is starting to shift, which is the first step to changing your outer world. Now we come to one of Neville Goddard's most powerful concepts, living from the end. This idea builds on everything we've talked about so far, but it takes it to a whole new level. Living from the end means behaving, thinking, and feeling as if your desire has already come true. It's about stepping into the version of yourself who has already achieved what you want. This might sound a bit confusing at first. After all, how can you live as if something is true when it hasn't happened yet? But that's exactly the point. Neville taught that by living from the end, you align yourself with your desire in such a powerful way that it has no choice but to manifest in your life. Let's break this down with an example. Say you want to become fluent in a new language. Living from the end would mean thinking and acting as if you're already fluent. You might start thinking in that language even if you're not perfect at it yet. You might seek out opportunities to speak it, confident in your ability to communicate. You might even start planning a trip to a country where that language is spoken, trusting that you'll be able to navigate easily when you get there. Now, this doesn't mean you ignore your current reality or stop learning. You still take classes, practice regularly, and work on improving. But you do all of this from the mindset of someone who is already fluent, rather than someone who is struggling to learn. The power of this approach is that it changes how you think and act in subtle but important ways. When you live from the end, you make decisions and take actions that align with your desired outcome. You become more confident, more open to opportunities, and more likely to persist through challenges. But living from the end isn't always easy. It can feel strange or even silly at first. You might worry that you're just fooling yourself or being unrealistic. This is where many people get stuck. The key is to understand that you're not pretending or lying to yourself. You're aligning your inner world with the future you want to create. You're stepping into the version of yourself who has already achieved your goal. In your day-to-day life, living from the end might look like this. You carry yourself with the confidence of someone who has already achieved their goal. You make decisions based on what that future version of you would do. You react to challenges with the calm assurance of someone who knows everything will work out. It's important to note that living from the end doesn't mean ignoring your current circumstances or responsibilities. It's not about denial or avoidance. Instead, it's about holding two realities in your mind: the current situation and the desired outcome. You acknowledge where you are now, but you live from the feeling and perspective of where you want to be. This can take practice and patience. You might find yourself slipping back into old patterns of thought or behavior. That's okay. The key is to gently bring yourself back to living from the end whenever you notice this happening. As you continue to practice living from the end, you might start to notice small changes in your life. Opportunities might appear that align with your desire. You might find yourself handling challenges with more ease. These are signs that your inner shift is starting to create changes in your outer world. Now let's explore another fundamental principle in Neville Goddard's teachings, the law of assumption. This law is closely tied to everything we've discussed so far, but it adds another powerful dimension to our understanding. The law of assumption states that whatever you assume to be true will be true for you. In other words, your assumptions about yourself and the world around you shape your reality. This might sound similar to other concepts you've heard about positive thinking or the law of attraction, but Neville's take on it goes much deeper. According to Neville, your assumptions are not just thoughts that pass through your mind. They're deeply held beliefs that form the foundation of your experience. These assumptions often operate below the surface of your conscious awareness, influencing how you perceive and interact with the world. For example, if you assume that people are generally kind and helpful, you're more likely to notice and experience kindness in your daily life. On the other hand, if you assume that the world is a harsh and competitive place, you're more likely to encounter experiences that confirm this belief. The power of the law of assumption lies in recognizing that you have the ability to consciously choose your assumptions. Instead of letting your assumptions be shaped by past experiences or current circumstances, you can deliberately adopt assumptions that align with the life you want to create. Let's say you want to improve your financial situation. The law of assumption would suggest examining your current assumptions about money. Do you assume that money is hard to come by? That you're not good with finances? That wealthy people are somehow different from you? By becoming aware of these assumptions, you can begin to change them. You might start assuming that money flows easily into your life, that you're excellent at managing your finances, or that abundance is your natural state. As you consistently hold these new assumptions, you'll likely notice changes in how you think about and handle money, which can lead to real changes in your financial situation. But here's where many people get tripped up. Changing your assumptions isn't just about positive affirmations or trying to force yourself to believe something. It's about a deeper shift in your perception of reality. Neville taught that the most effective way to change your assumptions is through your imagination and feeling. By consistently imagining and feeling the reality you desire, you naturally begin to assume it as true. This is where all the techniques we've discussed earlier come into play. Using your imagination, feeling it real, and living from the end. It's important to understand that the law of assumption doesn't work in isolation from the rest of your life. It's not about ignoring reality or pretending that everything is perfect. Instead, it's about choosing which aspects of reality you focus on and what meaning you give to your experiences. For instance, if you face a setback while pursuing a goal, you have a choice in how you interpret that experience. You could assume it means you're not capable or that your goal is impossible. Or you could assume that this setback is providing valuable lessons that will ultimately lead to your success. The assumption you choose will greatly influence your next steps and your likelihood of eventually achieving your goal. Applying the law of assumption in your daily life takes practice and persistence. It involves becoming more aware of your current assumptions, consciously choosing new assumptions that align with your desires, and consistently reinforcing these new assumptions through your thoughts, feelings, and actions. One practical way to work with the law of assumption is to pay attention to your self-talk and the statements you make about your life. When you catch yourself making negative assumptions, pause and ask yourself, what would I prefer to assume instead? Then take a moment to imagine and feel what it would be like if this new, positive assumption were true. Remember, the goal isn't to ignore challenges or pretend that everything is perfect. It's about choosing assumptions that empower you and align with the life you want to create. As you practice this, you may find that your perception of yourself and the world around you begins to shift, opening up new possibilities and opportunities. The law of assumption reminds us that we have more control over our reality than we often realize. By consciously choosing our assumptions, we can begin to shape our experiences and create the life we truly desire. It's a powerful tool for personal transformation, one that can lead to profound changes in how we see ourselves and interact with the world around us. Overcoming doubts and fears. As we explore these powerful ideas from Neville Goddard, it's natural to encounter doubts and fears. After all, we're talking about a pretty big shift in how we see the world and ourselves. So let's tackle this head on. First off, it's important to know that having doubts is completely normal. Even Neville himself acknowledged that doubt is a natural part of the process. The key is not to let those doubts stop you from trying these techniques. One of the biggest fears people often face is the fear of disappointment. You might worry, what if I try all this and nothing changes? This fear can be paralyzing, but Neville had an interesting take on it. He suggested that even if you don't see immediate results, the practice itself is valuable. By imagining and feeling your desired reality, you're creating a more positive inner world for yourself. And that alone can make a big difference in your life. Another common doubt is thinking, this works for other people, but it won't work for me. Neville addressed this by emphasizing that the power to create our reality is not something external to us. It's not a special gift that only some people have. It's a fundamental part of being human. We're all using our imagination and assumptions to create our reality all the time. The only difference is whether we're doing it consciously or unconsciously. So how do we deal with these doubts and fears? Neville suggested a few approaches. Persistence. Keep practicing even when you don't see immediate results. Remember, you're not just trying to change external circumstances, you're rewiring deeply ingrained patterns of thought and feeling. This takes time. Start small. You don't have to start by trying to completely transform your life overnight. Begin with small, achievable goals. As you see results, your confidence will grow. Focus on the feeling. Instead of worrying about whether it's working, focus on how good it feels to imagine and experience your desired reality. The positive feelings themselves are a form of success. Be patient with yourself. If you find yourself slipping back into old patterns of thought, don't beat yourself up. Gently redirect your thoughts and feelings back to your desired state. Keep learning. The more you understand these principles, the easier it becomes to apply them. Keep studying, keep practicing, and keep refining your approach. Remember, overcoming doubts and fears is part of the journey. Each time you face a doubt and choose to continue anyway, you're building strength and resilience. You're proving to yourself that you have the power to shape your thoughts and feelings, which is the first step in shaping your reality. Now let's look at some real-life examples of how people have used Neville Goddard's teachings to create positive changes in their lives. These stories can help illustrate how these principles work in practice and might inspire you to apply them in your own life. One woman, let's call her Sarah, used Neville's techniques to transform her career. Sarah was stuck in a job she disliked, feeling undervalued and unfulfilled. She started using the technique of living from the end, imagining herself in her dream job. Every night before sleep, she would imagine herself walking into an office she loved, feeling respected and excited about her work. At first, nothing seemed to change, but Sarah persisted. After a few weeks, she noticed she felt more confident at work. She started speaking up more in meetings and taking on new responsibilities. A few months later, a colleague mentioned a job opening at another company that seemed perfect for Sarah. She applied, nailed the interview, and got the job. Sarah believes that by changing her inner world, she opened herself up to opportunities she might have missed before. Another example is Tom, who used these techniques to improve his health. Tom had been struggling with his weight for years, trying various diets and exercise plans without lasting success. After learning about Neville's teachings, Tom decided to try a different approach. Instead of focusing on losing weight, he started imagining and feeling what it would be like to be fit and healthy. Tom would spend time each day feeling the energy and vitality of a healthy body. He imagined himself enjoying physical activities, feeling strong and confident. Over time, Tom noticed he was naturally making healthier choices. He found himself craving nutritious foods and enjoying exercise. Within a year, Tom had reached his goal weight and, more importantly, had developed a sustainable, healthy lifestyle. Maria used these principles to improve her relationships. She had always struggled with forming close friendships, often feeling left out or misunderstood. After learning about the law of assumption, Maria realized she had been assuming that people wouldn't like her or want to be her friend. She decided to change this assumption. Maria started imagining herself surrounded by loving, supportive friends. She assumed that people enjoyed her company and found her interesting. As she held on to these new assumptions, she noticed she felt more relaxed and confident in social situations. She started reaching out to people more, joining clubs and initiating conversations. Over time, Maria developed a circle of close friends and found herself enjoying rich, fulfilling relationships. These stories show how Neville's teachings can be applied to various areas of life: career, health, relationships, and more. They also illustrate important points about using these techniques. Persistence is key. In each case, changes didn't happen overnight. It took consistent practice over time. Inner changes lead to outer changes. As these individuals changed their thoughts, feelings, and assumptions, they naturally began to act differently, which led to new opportunities and outcomes. The focus is on the end result, not the how. None of these people knew exactly how their desires would manifest. They focused on the feeling of the end result and allowed the path to unfold. The changes often felt natural. As their inner world shifted, new actions and choices emerged naturally, rather than feeling forced. These success stories serve as inspiration and proof that Neville Goddard's teachings can create real, tangible changes in people's lives. They show that by harnessing the power of our imagination and assumptions, we can shape our reality in profound ways. As we wrap up our exploration of Neville Goddard's teachings, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned. We've journeyed through the power of imagination, the importance of feeling, the concept of living from the end, and the law of assumption. We've seen how these ideas can be applied to create real changes in our lives, from career success to improved health and relationships. The core message of Neville's teachings is both simple and profound. Your imagination, combined with feeling, has the power to shape your reality. By consciously directing your thoughts and assumptions, you can begin to create the life you truly desire. But remember, this isn't about instant magic or ignoring reality. It's about a shift in perspective and a commitment to aligning your inner world with your desired outcomes. It takes practice, persistence, and patience. There may be doubts and setbacks along the way, but these are all part of the journey. The beauty of these teachings is that they put the power back in your hands. You're not at the mercy of external circumstances. You have the ability to shape your experience of life from the inside out. As you move forward from here, I encourage you to start applying these principles in your own life. Start small if you need to. Pick one area of your life where you'd like to see a change. Spend time each day imagining and feeling what it would be like to have already achieved that change. Live from the end result and watch how your thoughts, feelings, and actions begin to align with your desire. Remember, this is a skill that can be developed over time. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. And as you start to see results, your confidence will grow, allowing you to apply these principles to bigger goals and dreams. Neville Goddard's teachings offer us a powerful tool for personal transformation. They remind us that we are not passive observers of our lives, but active creators. By harnessing the power of our imagination and assumptions, we can shape our reality in ways we might never have thought possible. So I invite you to embrace this journey of conscious creation. Explore these ideas, test them in your own life, and see what unfolds. You might just discover that you have more power to shape your life than you ever realized. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Neville Goddard's teachings. I hope this video has inspired you to tap into your own creative power and start shaping the reality you truly desire. Remember, the power is within you. It always has been. Now, it's time to use it. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to our channel for more content on personal growth and spiritual development. And don't forget to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your story might be the inspiration someone else needs to start their own journey of transformation. Until next time, keep imagining, keep believing, and keep creating the life you want to live. The power is in your hands. Use it wisely.